Hi everybody, it's Grandpa Bobby.
Grandpa Scott.
And we are coming to you from Portugal.
Yeah, beautiful Portugal.
Absolutely. Now, we are sadly winding down our wonderful trip to Spain and Portugal. And as we've been going around, we've been getting some questions from our different people, both from local people around here.
Social media.
Social media, but from our adopted grandkids around the world.
Yep.
So we thought we'd take a little time during siesta time here in Porto to just answer some of the questions we got.
Well, so what's our first question?
Okay, I put them on the computer here so I could read them. Did you get seasick on your cruise?
No.
Short answer. Now, we sometimes take, what do we call it, Bonine, or was it, not Boniva, Bonine, or Dramamine. We did that once, but never really needed it.
Yeah.
In fact, for me, I got more seasick on one of the trains here in Portugal because it's a train that sways back and forth. They're high-speed trains, but never on the seas. Of course, we did have very mild seas.
Very smooth seas. It was
we did.
wonderful. Yeah.
How were we treated as U.S. citizens? That's a very interesting topic because, we were really concerned about that coming over here.
We were. And the simple answer is we have been treated very graciously and friendly.
Yeah.
When people ask us, we say we're from the United States and then from, Tucson, Arizona, because we wanted to see how people would respond to us. And they have all been very, very friendly. Do they have questions? Of course they do. Mm-hmm. They want to know what's going on in our country and why it's going on. Because, the United States has played a pivotal role in the world. And things are happening that concern people.
Yeah. But what they come down to it, if I can summarize it, is they don't see it as the actions of people, they see it as the actions of politicians. So they have great affection for Americans, and they have been wonderful for us. They see it as a political climate that, hopefully will change and lighten up.
Yeah. Most of them have family that immigrated,
Okay. How did you get around on your trip? Well, just about every sort of conveyance you can think about.
We flew. We trained. We bussed.
But we boated. Taking all sorts
we
of
boated. We carred.
Automobiled.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of walking.
A lot of. And we looked, but we never did find a donkey or a horse to ride.
That's true. But in terms of the transportation has been great here. I would say train experience in Spain is really terrific.
Oh, yeah. And in Portugal.
Yeah, we've had no problems with planes or the boats. I would think the only downside was what, Grandpa?
The bus.
Yeah, the buses.
Yeah, the bus, and it's going to be in a video. The bus company that we took advertised them a lot. They advertised a lot on their website and delivered precious little.
Yes.
Yeah. So Grandpa rarely ever complained, but we're going to share some negatives about that company.
And in both countries, we were kind of dissuaded from taking a lot of public transportation. Not so much the metros, but buses. They said generally they're not the greatest way to get around. We did get around a lot in both taxis, Uber, and another ride-sharing called Bolt, which they have over here. And for the most part, we found those to be terrific. We actually prefer the ride-share versus the taxis.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, this is a good one. What are some of the differences that you encountered between Spain and Portugal?
Oh, wow. Well, there's the difference in language, all right? And we had to really get up to speed with some basic Spanish, which we had before because we've been to Spain. but even quicker with some Portuguese.
Yeah, also because we live closer to Mexico, we are more familiar. Even though we are not fluent speakers of Spanish, we're more familiar with the language. Portuguese.
But we got to be clear on that. The Spanish spoken in Spain is different than the Spanish spoken in Mexico. So, there's some variances that you got to be aware of.
But Portuguese is very different. But if you learn certain phrases like bom dia, which is
good day,
and obrigado,
thank you,
there you go. But you'll get by. People, well, first of all, always have Google Translator on your phone. That goes a long way,
especially in a market.
Yeah, and there are similarities between Spanish and Portuguese. For example, the beautiful tile work that you see in Spain, and please forgive us for butchering the language, they call them azulejos.
Not in Spain.
In Spain. In Portugal, they call them azulejos. So there's a different osh and sound to it. So it's really particular. Most people are very happy to teach you some words, and with the little hand gestures and a few words in English, you get by.
Yeah, and Grandpa Bobby has been really good with the Spanish and the Portuguese. I'm happy to say I got to speak a little German.
He was so proud of himself.
I was so proud. The German gentleman looked, wow, okay.
We met a couple of German tourists. Scott was so proud to show off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another difference, which was really surprised us actually, was dining habits.
Yes.
Now, in Spain, you eat lunch at about 2 o'clock. And for dinner, man, if you go out to a restaurant, especially in southern Spain, if you go out to a restaurant before 9 p.m., you're going to be the only people in the restaurant if it's even open.
Okay, if you want to show everybody that you're a turista, go to dinner before 9 or even at 9.
Yeah, and you'll be the only people there. Typically, like in Sevilla, we'd eat about 10 o'clock at night. But the difference, it was amazing. Portugal, even though the countries adjoin, completely different. They are more of a timetable that we're used to back in the States, where lunch is between noon and 2, and dinner is like 6, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, restaurants will close very early. If you anticipate it's going to be like Spain and go out looking for a place to eat at 10, good luck.
Forget about it, yeah. They roll up the streets here pretty early, which is really surprising to us. Okay, another question was, speaking about dining, was about tipping at your meals. What did you find, Grandpa?
Well, tipping is a very unique question. Coming from the States, where it's put on your check and it just seems to increase and increase and increase. Over here, it's not mandatory, and in some areas, it's even frowned upon. But never is it on your check.
No. And what we have found is that tipping should always be in cash. It's something you leave behind. Even if you pay on your credit card, you should leave your tip behind in cash. And it's generally you're rounding up the euro, but it's not an extensive amount, but it is still there. Those who say, oh, you should never tip, we've talked to locals here and say, yes, you should tip. It doesn't have to be anywhere near what we tip in the United States, but a tip is always appreciated.
None of this 18-20% crap that we're doing in the U.S.
Watch your language, Grandpa.
Sorry. Well, and the main reason for that is
they pay
over
them.
here they pay their servers.
Yep,
in
they
US,
pay them a living wage.
If you're in a restaurant, start paying your servers what they're worth.
Now, one question is, what about tours? Like, for example, we went on an excursion to Marrakesh, which was a group tour.
When we were on Virgin Voyages.
And then we hired an individual to take us around here in Portugal on an individual tour.
Lisboa.
Out of Lisboa. Yeah. So what did you think of the difference, Grandpa?
Well, for me, the private tour guide was the best way to go. One, the tour with that was arranged through Virgin Voyages, and we appreciate them doing it. Don't get us wrong. It's nice and it's a good way to go for a lot of people. It was like a huge group, very controlled, and man, if you have any walking difficulties, the tour guides don't care. They're going to run through because...
Well, let's be real. The tour guides are universally always younger than we are.
Way younger.
And you younger people walk a little faster and don't realize that
there
we're
are people with
lagging
hip
behind.
problems with the cane, and they were just like straggling at the rear. So it was always like you were playing catch up. And also, for me, the tour company had a set agenda, and we had to meet that agenda. Boom, 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 boom. Where with the individual or private guide that we got and came highly recommended, always make sure you have someone who's highly recommended. David was incredible.
Yeah, and you'll see more of that on some of our videos.
The 2 tours that he took us on, and these were full day, were geared to what we wanted, and he knew things like, for me, I have some hip issues, and I am getting a little older, and I can't do what I did 30 years ago, like climb every mountain.
Yeah, or every staircase.
Or every staircase. But he knew little ways to where to park and get us close, and he'd do sweet things like, look, you go up, I'll meet you at the top, I know a place to park. Or he'd go up and park and then come down because he was with us and always came and shared information about what we were seeing. Mm-hmm. He was a delight.
Yeah. If you ever have a chance, we typically arrange our own how we get around and what we see. But this is the first time we've hired a private tour guide, and it really opened my eyes that although it's an added expense, sometimes it can really be of value. For example, where we were going, if we'd gone on our own, we would have had to get a taxi to the train station, then from the train station to a bus, and then bus to here.
That was to Sintra.
To Sintra. It would have been very complicated. Also, where we went in Óbidos was quite a drive away. So it made sense. Just from using your time and your resources wisely, and something you might want to consider.
Yeah, and we had said we wanted to see other stuff too. We just didn't want to see, the main points. And he set things up, and on both days drove us to things that he particularly liked, locations that a lot of people don't get to see.
And we even have a video. And when we plan our trips, we really go online and I look up the top 40 things to do in Portugal, and we saw some things that never appeared on any list, and were absolutely fabulous. And we'll share some of those in videos.
And, well, not too many of the Portuguese people would like to have some secret places to go
of their own. But so our recommendation is, if it's within your budget, definitely consider it. So someone also asked us, were we ever sprayed with water by the locals? And like any news story, it doesn't always convey the full picture. I'm sure there have been isolated incidents against tourists, in particular maybe cruise ship people, but we were never accosted because we were tourists.
We were in Barcelona twice, never experiencing anything negative. Again, treated great, didn't see any protest.
Yeah, the only thing I ever saw, I was walking around and there were a couple of lock boxes that were associated with an apartment rental, and it said F Airbnb. That's the full extent of it. Now, it is an issue here. In Lisboa, which is how they pronounce Lisbon, there is a moratorium on new rental apartments, short-term rentals. And we think that's a good thing, because it's not the people who rent them that are the problem. The problem is when governments allow too many and they take away the opportunities for the locals to live there.
And also the issue is developers in all countries, and that includes the United States of America, they need to start building entry-level homes for first-time home buyers. It's the same all over they all want to build for the $1 million to $2 million sales. And the people who live in these countries, whose incomes may not be at that level, they're being rooted out of society. And so I do understand
Yeah.
a lot of the frustration from people.
And you know what? This is worldwide. We're finding everywhere.
Everywhere.
Whether it's the barista in Lisboa or the barista in San Francisco, the people who are serving you coffee can't necessarily afford to live in their own city.
Yeah.
And that's problematic.
And it's very sad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I won't go any further politically about how I feel about all that, okay?
Let's go on to something better. Let's talk about
Happy dance, over to a new topic.
the most memorable moments, or some of the memorable moments we've had on this trip so far. You go first.
Oh my gosh, I got so many.
I know. Just pick a few.
Well, you know, we were down in the Algarve area of Portugal, I remember, on one of the speedboats. And it was wonderful because it was a small boat. And we went through the cave into, it wasn't even one of the big name caves. It was a small cave we went into, and the blue waters and the light coming through, it was just, you know, we talk about those perfect moments, and that was one for me. It was, everybody's cameras were down, and they just were looking, and it was like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The light coming in, and then the clarity of the water.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
For me, one of my favorite moments was nighttime in Ibiza City, the old town. We walked up, and we passed through the gates, and we went to another section, and there was this piazza area, plaza, I guess, your placa here. And it was, oh gosh, it was like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And all the white villages and all the lights were out. And people were dining in the street areas, music playing. It was a warm summer evening with little gentle breeze. It was so romantic.
And mostly locals.
Yeah.
That was what was so neat. It was just like where the locals could get away. And it was a beautiful little moment to catch.
And maybe not a moment, but one of the memorable things has been the people we have met along the way have been so friendly, so hospitable, so welcoming.
Yeah.
And one of the added joys has been, I guess since we're becoming a little more popular, that we have run into a lot of our adopted grandkids along the way who have stopped us, seen our t-shirts, and said, hey, we follow you. And
come up and talk, which is it's really great.
So if you ever see us while we're out and about filming, please come up, say hi. We love to hear from you.
Yeah, we love it. And let's take some pictures, because that's how we get to know each other.
Exactly. And then the final thing was, I thought this was really funny and quite appropriate too. This trip will be, by the time we complete it, about 7 weeks in total.
Yeah.
We spend 24/7 with one another. And the question was, how do you get along together?
Oh, we don't. We don't.
How do we get along, Grandpa?
Well, you know, if people saw some of the outtakes, they'd wonder.
Okay, first of all, traveling with your husband is one thing. But then the second thing, traveling with your director? Oh my God. It's like Cecil B. DeMille on steroids. Steven Spielberg is probably a pussycat compared to Grandpa Scott when he's got his camera rolling.
Oh, you know, and then you get the temperamental on-air talent, you know, that you have to deal with. That, you know, want coffee, particular colored jelly beans, a certain type of chocolate
if
in
someone
their trailer.
gets a little hungry and grumpy Grandpa comes out, and let me tell you, it ain't pretty.
I guess the thing is, guys, we travel well. Right today we're taping this. We're starting our 47th year together.
Can you believe we met 46 years ago today, and we're still going together? You know, it's like marry your friend.
Yeah.
We don't fight. We bicker. Oh boy, especially when this one gets grumpy and tired. Don't get grumpy. He gets grumpy. He's also very exacting in what he wants to see on camera and what he wants me to say. And he expects me to understand what's going on in his head. But beside that,
like I said, on-air talent, you know, all looks, no brains.
Yeah, I wish. Anyway, we work it out. We have our moments where we'll sit quietly apart from one another, or we'll take a break and go for a survey. So that's, I think, our best advice.
When he says sit apart from each other, and some of the places we rented, it's a love seat. So he's in one end, I'm at the other end. So it's not like we can go to separate rooms.
Time out. But I think in the end, the best thing is we can convey to people, whenever you get grouchy or irritable or angry, just take a time out, have a cerveza. We've done a lot of what we call cafe society, walking around, sitting, having a drink, even if it's just a coffee, and watching life go by. That's reinvigorating.
Yeah, enjoy it. I can't see traveling with anybody but you, Boo.
I can't see anybody putting up with it but me. Anyway, folks, those are just some of the questions we've had along the way.
I'm going to edit that out.
Yeah, you can cut that part of the tape. Anyway, we've been having a wonderful trip. It's not quite over yet, but those are some of the things we've been seeing and talking about along the way.
Yeah, wonderful people, wonderful food, wonderful countries, wonderful voyage. It's just been, we have a blessed life, and we know it.
Yeah, we don't take it for granted, and we appreciate every moment of the trip, as well as we appreciate all of you watching and sharing your thoughts and your comments with us. It really does mean a lot to us.
Your support and encouragement and love, it just keeps us going. So thank you.
Thank you all.